Welcome back to the Morning Show. I am thrilled to be here with Liza Garcia, who is the author of Never Drink Coffee During a Business Meeting. And full disclosure, I have a coffee hidden behind my chair. So,
I wish I had one.
I know.
Where's mine?
So welcome. This is a fantastic book. Now, you are the CEO of Enterprise
Communication
Services based out of Tampa.
Correct.
This is not your first CEO position, however.
It's not, right. So we were just talking. I am an alumni here, U of U, and I went to Judge Memorial High School.
Fantastic.
And but then moved, as soon as the year I graduated from college, I moved to Seattle. Started a company there when I was 27 called BIC, and I had that software company for about 16 years.
Wow.
So
and 27. Let's just
27.
let's just focus on that.
Well, you make very rash decisions, and that was one of them, and it turned out to be a good one when you're younger.
When you're young.
Yeah.
So you've definitely had experience in the private sector and in the corporate world. What inspired you to write Never Drink Coffee During a Business Meeting?
Right. Well, so the book is business advice, and because I was an employer so young, I mean, even with my company, right when I started my company, I had one employee. Grew the employee base, grew the office's base, and I was always given this advice. So my book was a compilation of advice that I'd give to my employees that I couldn't necessarily put in the employee handbook.
Right.
I didn't necessarily document in policies and procedures. So I always had all this advice in me, so I knew I had a book in me, and so that's what the book's
And it's
about.
all in one spot, because I think it's so often you're in a corporate environment, and maybe there are things that aren't necessarily HR approved, and they're not in the corporate handbook, but there are rules and there are tips and tricks for success that, I think maybe you learn just from experience.
Yes.
But if someone has just graduated college or is new to the workforce and they don't have that corporate background, having someone who's been through it and reading between the lines and having that advice is invaluable.
Yes, I agree. And, I'm now a mentor because of where I'm at, how many years I've been in my career.
Absolutely.
But I had some strong mentors too, and they would teach me something, and that's in the book. For instance, the gal that wrote the foreword, Robin Button, she just gave me tons of advice. For instance, that whole idea that if you're upset or emotional, leave the meeting, maybe even leave the office, calm
Gain
down,
composure.
gain composure, be able to, weigh the pros and the cons without emotion, and then come back to the meeting. And that's in the book, and it's very valuable. And I was very glad to have her as a mentor, as a very young woman.
And I think specifically coming from a female, there's so many, between Sheryl Sandberg and her Lean In movement, and there's so many powerful females that we're seeing in the workforce. And I love that this is coming from a female with some even gender-specific sort of female advice. It
is. And to be honest, in 2012, maybe 2013, I did read Lean In, and that meant a lot to me. And I follow Sheryl, and especially now that she's a single working mom, and I'm a single working mom. It's a wonderful thing that's going on in the country right now too, with politics. Just that awareness, and men and women, and we're both strong. We're very much just a part of success and of moving forward. So I appreciate that you realize it's a woman thing.
And more importantly, equals. Yeah, I mean,
right.
that's, it seems crazy that it took this long.
I
but
know,
yes,
I
here
know.
we are. Now, forgive me, I am going to read this because I looked at your bio and you talked about being a working mother of two. You also are a classical violinist, a pianist, a member of the USTA Tennis League, an avid triathlete, and marathon runner.
I'm cringing on the exercise part, honestly, because we were on a book signing tour for Barnes & Noble, and so I shipped back. The last city was Seattle. I shipped back my tennis racket and my gym shoes. And actually, last night we were at Tracy Aviary and we saw the tennis courts. I'm
you
like,
got a little nostalgic.
I'm completely crazy about tennis in Tampa. But it's true. I started the violin when I was 9, Suzuki Method. I started piano when I was 7, Suzuki Method. My daughter
It's so funny.
started
I'm a violinist as well. Started with Suzuki, little kids. And again, talking about success in the workplace, what you learn as a child through the teaching methods and the discipline and the focus, it's fantastic.
Definitely the discipline, right?
Yes, right.
So I'll get interviewed and they'll ask, what do you think is the secret for success? You know what? It's discipline, and the discipline in achieving your goal, or the discipline in, not doing something that you don't feel like doing, right? And remember in Suzuki, I mean, it was an hour a day practice.
No matter what.
Period. No matter what.
No
Even
matter
when
what.
the sun was shining and the friends were out there. And I'm glad for it.
You were there.
I was actually in Utah Youth Symphony when I was in high school here.
Wonderful.
So yeah, I really enjoy it, and I love having that outlet.
Well, and also you're here to speak not only to your book, but talking about what you learn as discipline as a young child, as a mother of two. You have some fantastic back to school tips, and I want to run through these really quickly because I thought each one was just really exceptional. And personally, as a mother of a 5-year-old who's going to be starting kindergarten this fall, I think it's a lot of fun and it's important. So the first one, tips for getting your kids ready for back to school, the day of the week outfit planner.
Yes, so there are now devices that say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I used to use, actually, when my kids were younger, that idea where I would just have a bin. Here's Monday, here's Tuesday, here's Wednesday. My daughters now are going into 5th and 6th grade, and so we don't have that necessarily, but I still have the idea where we have a bin that is the polo shirts, they wear uniforms, a bin that is the gym outfits, a bin. And what you do before that morning, helps the kids also. I mean, you've got a 5-year-old. You can teach them, this is how you spell Wednesday.
Right.
Go to the, you know what I mean?
Well, and keeping it organized. He's in a Montessori school, and just having things in their place is so important.
It's so great and so easy, really. But that tip helps you and helps kids get out the door earlier.
Well, and nothing's more stressful than the morning routine. Researching the age-appropriate amount of sleep for their development.
So important. And most people that have more than one child knows that even the way that your kids wake up in the morning, some of them are morning kids, some of them are not, even if they get the same amount of sleep. So it's so important. I mean, everyone will tell you, all doctors will tell you that there is a certain amount of hours that a kid needs when they're 5 years old. There's a certain amount of hours that kids need when they're 10 years old. And so it's really your responsibility as parents to get them in bed and make sure they're in bed in time. And for us, that means that we might have a half an hour routine before they're asleep. So we start a half an hour before. When they were younger, it might have been an hour.
Right.
Mommy, read that again, fine. But it's so important.
It's huge. And I'm in the middle of Ariana Huffington's new The Sleep Revolution book. So it's not just for kids. I mean, adults getting our sleep. They're saying this has long-term effects. So it's
especially
so
young
important.
moms with young kids. Sleep deprivation
Sleep is not something I get a lot of. Third thing, establishing goals. Again, I think this is for adults, but it's also for kids.
It is. So my daughters joke a little bit. We've always had conferences. Okay, girls, we need to have a family conference, or let's conference about that. That's my business background. So we will have a back to school conference where we'll establish the goals for the coming year. For instance, it might be for one of my daughters, I'd like to be in the top 5 readers of the school. And we talk about that. And it really needs to be a goal that they buy into. I mean, we can have all the goals we want, but unless they buy into it, and they don't need to be lofty goals like that. They don't need to be a goal that anyone would even recognize. It can be a goal of, how many new people do you think you're going to meet this year?
Okay.
So it's just a way to get their minds starting to think about school, to, their teachers are going to have objectives and goals for them. So it's just a way for them to kind of buy into that concept and start thinking about what they want to accomplish during the year, because each school year is an accomplishment, right? Just like each business quarter is an accomplishment for your company.
And you're including them in the conversation, which I think is so important. Create a book tote. Now, what is a book tote?
So my daughters have always been big readers, and so we have a book tote. It's about this big, and I always will say I have at least probably 50 to 100 books, honestly, in my car. And so what we'll do is when we get back to Tampa next week, got to go through the book tote, take out any books that they've read. Sometimes my older one will finish one and she says, probably the younger one won't like it or will. Just go through your books. We have a great book swap used bookstore that we take books back to get credit.
Fantastic.
And also, when you start to go through the book tote, and I'll have the girls be with me while we do it, then I remember about that book, so we organize it, get it ready for the school year, go to your teachers if you want suggestions, look online for grade appropriate books if you need to fill it, and it always stays in the car. And
so
it's
they
just
always have
there.
something.
Yes,
it's
because
always ready.
They don't need to be on electronics all the time of their life.
No, you do not need to be plugged in constantly. And finally, I like this. Hold a preschool play date.
Yeah, right. So I've already organized that. We've got a date on the calendar when I get back. We start August 11th, so it's like tomorrow. I know, it's tomorrow.
That's just right into your summer.
I know. Well, but we've been out since May 27th.
Fair enough.
So there's,
okay.
yeah, it's a different, but it is like, it seems
I'm
like
sure it feels long. I think you're probably ready.
We're ready. But I called some mom friends of mine, and we're going to get together and bring clothes that our daughters have outgrown and go through the clothes and see if we can exchange them. Just going through anything, you know, backpacks that maybe are backpacks that we want to use in exchange, pass on, and then also just kind of talk about, you know, where's the best place to buy the shoes. So it's just really good information gathering for moms.
Well, and it's really using business networking with your kids.
That's
you know,
exactly
you're networking
right.
with other moms
That's
and
exactly
learning
right.
from them. So
You're a great mom. I can tell already. Thank you.
I'm trying. I'm still new to it, but we'll see how it goes. I have a 5-year-old and then Grayson, and then I have a little 1-year-old named Marlo. So I have a little duo. So it's exciting. It's fantastic. I was excited to meet you, Liza Garcia. Thank you so much for being here. Liza is the author of Never Drink Coffee During a Business Meeting. If you would like to meet Liza in person and hear her amazing tips and inside information for success in the workplace and at home with your kids, be at the Barnes & Noble in Murray this Friday at 3 p.m. She's on her book tour, and we are excited to be there and learn even more. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
we will
Eliza.
be back at the Mountain Morning Show right after this.